Ever catch a crazy weather report and think, wait, how did they even know that was coming? I know I have. So today we're going to get way more in depth than your typical forecast. We're diving into what it really takes to be a meteorologist.
It's a pretty fascinating field, because it
Mhm.
really needs a good balance of analytical skills and that creative problem solving.
I'll be honest, I used to think meteorologists just told us if we needed an umbrella or not. But digging into this roll catcher guide, there's so much more going on behind the scenes.
Right. It's way more than pointing at a map and being like, high pressure system here, folks. Some meteorologists are actually consultants for other industries, using their expertise in all kinds of ways.
Okay, now that is not something I would have pictured. What kind of consulting work are we even talking about?
Well, think about airlines, right? They need accurate weather to plan safe flights and efficient routes. So a meteorologist might consult, analyze those weather patterns, and literally help them navigate around huge storms.
Wow, that's wild. I never even thought about that side of meteorology.
Yeah.
Talking about saving time, fuel,
hmm
potentially even preventing passenger headaches, delays. That's some serious impact.
It really is. And this is a field that's changing so rapidly, too, thanks to tech.
Yeah.
We're not just talking about analyzing weather maps anymore. It's AI, sophisticated computer models, the works, all that to make those predictions even more accurate.
Totally makes sense. Speaking of technology, does the guide get into that side of things?
Hmm.
Because that's got to be a game changer for how meteorologists work these days.
Oh, absolutely. The guide talks about how all this new sensor technology, plus those advanced modeling tools, it's giving us an insane understanding of weather patterns and how our climate actually works. We're even getting to more accurate long-term forecasts, which is huge EE when you think about preparing for extreme weather events.
So if someone's out there, they're interested in this field,
hmm
we're talking some serious tech skills needed too,
Yeah.
yeah. Like more than just checking your phone's weather app.
You're definitely going to need more than the weather app for sure. The guide's clear. Analytical skills are key. Math skills. But being comfortable with computer programming, that's becoming really important. Think of it this way. Meteorologists are working with mountains of data, trying to find patterns, make predictions. Computers are essential.
Honestly, the programming side never even crossed my mind. It really changes how I picture a meteorologist day to day.
hmm
So I'm guessing being good at statistics is part of it too, right?
Exactly. But here's something that surprised me in the guide. They break down the core skills you need to be successful, and reading comprehension ranks surprisingly high.
Wait, really? Higher than the other technical stuff?
Than you might think, definitely. It shows how vital it is to stay updated on all the latest research, scientific papers, tech advancements, the whole shebang. This is a field that never sits still.
Yeah. So it's not just about being a numbers person. You've got to be constantly learning, applying that knowledge to a system that is complex and always changing. That is so cool.
Right. You've got to understand what you're reading, connect those dots, and then communicate those complex ideas to others. Sometimes scientists, sometimes not so much.
Which means strong communication skills are just as important as the hardcore technical side.
100%. Think about it. You might need to explain complicated weather models to, government people making policies or break down climate change to the average person. Making that stuff accessible and engaging is key no matter who you're talking to.
It's like meteorologists wear a bunch of different hats then. Scientists, analysts, communicators, maybe even a little bit of futurists thrown in there with the whole predicting the future aspect.
That's a great way to put it. Speaking of the future, this guide goes deep on what a typical career path might actually look like for a meteorologist.
Okay, so now that we have a better sense of what these folks actually do all day, let's talk building a career in this. What's that trajectory look like? So RoleCatcher, they lay out this pretty clear path,
Yeah.
through the different stages of a meteorologist's career. Like you can start entry level and then boom, work your way up to senior meteorologist.
Yeah, it's like a roadmap. Shows you where things could go. I thought it was really cool how they use those real-world examples, at each level, so you get a feel for what the job is actually like day to day.
Yeah, it's one thing to say, oh, you could be leading international research, but it's another to actually hear from, like a senior meteorologist,
Yeah,
their story, what they're actually doing.
totally. Those examples make it way easier to grasp each stage. And they show how the skills you start with, like analyzing data, figuring out those climate models, that becomes the base for the more intense stuff later on.
So you're not just stuck doing basic forecasting forever, which is really cool.
Yeah. No way. There are tons of directions you could go. Maybe you specialize in some specific area of meteorology. Or you go the management route. You could even do that consulting we talked about for industries that, like, weather really impacts them. Agriculture, renewable energy.
Now that's what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Options. It's like you can really build a dynamic career in this.
Absolutely. And if you're passionate about the environment, using your skills to, make a real difference, it's a field with huge GE potential for that.
Huge potential, for sure.
Yeah.
But I also imagine it's got to be competitive. So for someone who's ready to go for it, what does RoleCatcher actually offer to help? Because I know it's more than just like information, right?
Oh, yeah. This is where they go above and beyond. They've got these awesome tools for success, like a whole section of tailored interview questions, which is so helpful to practice, build confidence before you have those conversations.
Love it when a deep dive gets practical. What else do they have?
They have CV and resume builders. And get this, AI-powered feedback to help you polish those materials, stand out from the crowd. It's like having a career coach in your back pocket, Especially good if you're someone who likes to feel super prepared.
That is huge. Who wouldn't want that extra edge? I'm sold on those. But even beyond the practical stuff, I gotta say, I like RoleCatcher's whole vibe,
For sure. What's standing out to you the most?
It's that empowerment they're giving, Like they're equipping you with knowledge, with the actual tools to take control of your own path. Whether you're brand new or looking for a change, I feel like that can make all the difference.
I couldn't agree more. It's bigger than just finding a job, right? It's finding a career that's fulfilling, that's impactful, which, in a field like meteorology, super important.
100%. Speaking of impact, I was really interested by something in the guide. They mentioned meteorologists potentially having a bigger role in public policy, even education. What do you think about that? Feels like a natural evolution of the field.
Oh, that's a great point. And we haven't even really touched on that yet. Yeah, they talked about how important it is to communicate, complicated information in a way that everyday people can understand.
Exactly. Being able to translate that stuff is key, especially when you're talking to policymakers, educating the public. Makes me think being a meteorologist is going beyond just the forecast itself. It's shaping how people understand, even how they respond to weather and climate.
Totally. It's that whole bridge between science and society, which can be tricky, honestly, especially with something like climate change, which gets so political.
For sure, tall order.
Yeah.
But it also feels more important than ever, right?
Yeah.
We need people who can cut through the noise, explain the science clearly, and get people on board with solutions that are actually backed up by evidence. And who better to do that than someone who's like lived and breathed this stuff?
You nailed it. It's like this whole other dimension to meteorology, and it has huge potential. It's not just predicting the future weather anymore. It's kind of shaping the future in general.
I love that. Okay, that was a lot about meteorology.
Yeah.
Clearly, a field with tons to offer. Intellectually making an impact.
I agree. We covered a ton of ground. We talked about all the different things meteorologists actually do, the skills you need to make it happen, those career paths, and even how the whole field is changing and adapting in the world today.
It strikes me that this whole thing, this career path, it's like this blend of, really deep scientific understanding with this human need to make sense of what's happening around us, right?
Yeah.
Like we're talking about using crazy technology, but to understand something as old as time, the weather, and then figuring out how to explain that to everyone. Pilots, politicians, people on the street.
That is so true. It's that exact intersection, science, tech, communication. That's what makes meteorology so compelling, I think, and so relevant. It goes way beyond just the numbers and data. It's about actually using that to make a difference.
Exactly. And not even just predicting like, oh, it's going to rain tomorrow, but understanding the bigger picture stuff.
Climate change, right?
Right.
And helping people actually navigate those challenges, which are huge EE.
Absolutely. Meteorologists are becoming so vital in that whole fight. They're the ones with the data, with the models, and they can communicate how urgent this is. That expertise is like make or break for making good policy decisions, helping communities adapt.
That's where it goes from being just a job to something like truly meaningful. It's bigger than just you at that point.
Exactly. It's contributing to something larger, using what you know to make a real impact. And with all the awareness around climate, the need for solutions that are actually going to work, that work has never been more vital.
So to wrap this all up for our listeners today, if any of this is sparking your interest, a career where you're blending science, technology, communication, a career where you can make a real difference, especially now, well, meteorology might be the perfect next step. Who knows? Maybe you will be the one presenting at a conference, changing the future of the whole field. I love that. And that's what it's all about, right? Empowering people to actually make a difference, whether that's through those spot-on forecasts, advanced modeling, even just educating others. Every bit counts.
Absolutely. And that is something worth getting excited about. So to everyone listening, if you've ever looked up at the sky and been like, whoa, if you get fired up by how nature works, by science, by making a real impact, well, the path is out there.
It really is. It's a field that's always changing, always pushing those boundaries. And the more we understand how our climate, our weather, how it all connects to us, that's what's going to shape the future.
And that is an awesome note to end on. It's been so great exploring this career path with you today.
The feeling is mutual. This was fascinating. And for anyone who wants to learn more, you know where to find us. Until then, keep learning, keep exploring, and most importantly, keep looking up.